This is the Fit Body Pro podcast, giving you the truths for you to burn the fat, build the muscle, and shape the body you want. You'll know how to transform your body, look the way you want, and put your health in the front seat. Chris Dufay is the authority on fat loss, physique, and getting you in shape. Results-based, proven insights, advice, and plans from the world's best that is pulling back the curtain for you to have the body and health you want faster, easier, and without fuss. It's time now to bring on Chris Dufay to give you the truths and advice you need.
Welcome to Fit Body Pro. I'm your coach, Chris Dufay, and this episode is all about 6 weeks to shredded and sexy, how you can be shaping the body you want and doing only what's needed. I bring on Blake where we delve into how he's running his 6-week programs and how you can be doing only what's needed to burn off the weight and build and shape the body you want and not going bonkers trying to do so. We're going to be covering things such as the major common factors that is stopping so many people from shaping the body they want. Also, how to make the best use of a short-term plan and what you need to be avoiding to make sure you don't fall into the pitfalls that so many people do. Also, what you need to be focusing on with your training and with your diet to make sure you fast-track your body transformation. And Blake gives away 3 of his top tips to make sure that you step away from this episode knowing what to do. And I want to say a very big thank you to you for you plugging the Fit Body Pro in your ears as getting the constant feedback from all the bodies and the changed lives from the podcast, from the videos, from the coaching, from the membership, all of it. This is what drives me to keep giving you all this information, all this material, and make sure that I'm giving you only what you need to be doing. If this is your first time on Fit Body Pro, welcome, and make sure that you stick around and subscribe not to miss an episode, because we have some really gangbuster episodes where myself in the solo sessions are going to be delving into the topics that you have asked, and also some really, really big, great, awesome, phenomenal guests. So I want you to put a smile on my dial. I would love for you on your computer, on your iPhone, on your Android, leave me a review, an iTunes review. And if you're loving the Fit Body Pro podcast, a 5-star review, I will give you a shout out. I will give you a virtual fist bump, but give me the feedback. I want to know what you want. What guests do you want to come on? What topics do you want me to cover? What are the questions you want me to answer? And I will do so. So importantly, make sure that you head on over to www.fitbodypro.com, as at the moment you can get for free the 14-day Kickstart Fat Loss Diet. That is a part of the exclusive membership. So I'm giving it away. Make sure you get on over there, get on board, use it and abuse it, do whatever you want, but make sure, because this is made to get you faster, quicker results. This is going to set you up to what I know is needed to get you burning fat, such as switching the metabolism into being able to burn fat more efficiently, more effectively, lowering inflammation, and also increasing your insulin sensitivity. I can talk the mumbo jumbo, but just make sure you use it and you'll see the results with your own body. Also, if you are wanting to get in serious shape, if you're really wanting to get into the best shape body of your life, you're wanting to step on stage, then I'm also giving away on fitbodypro.com the ultimate prep guide. So make sure you get on over there before I take that one down so you can use it straight away. Also, all the show notes, all the links from this episode and every other episode is on fitbodypro.com. There's just so much there. I'm just giving it away. I'm bonkers, and it's just, make sure, use it. It's there for you. So it's time to bring on Blake as we delve into how you can get sexy, how you can get shredded, but also you can enjoy the process. the handsome man himself, Blake. It is phenomenal to have you on the Fit Body Pro podcast, buddy. I'm pumped to have you here because we haven't chatted too much before, and I know you've got some killer insights that we're going to be able to delve into, so the listener's going to be able to really kind of sink their teeth into the greatness that you are. But before I really start getting straight into these questions and we pump this out, mate, I'd love for you to let the listener know who Blake is and why you are so phenomenal.
Thanks for the intro, mate. That was good. In terms of who I am, I guess I have been a personal trainer for 13 years, which, as you know, in our industry is a long time, and the average punter's kind of hanging around for 9 months. So seen a lot happen in 13 years and essentially started and spent a lot of time doing, as we all do, kind of one-on-one training and coaching. And then about 3 years ago, made the transition to essentially small group training, which is somewhere in between, the one-on-one training and the large, I think, outdated boot camp style approach. And then created my 6-week programs around that, which is pretty much all I do now. 6 weeks to sexy for the girls and 6 weeks to shredded for the guys. And more recently, over the last 12 months, took those 2 programs online and also, started doing some online coaching and the blog. So very much small group training in 6-week blocks and spending more and more time online and trying to spread my message.
Awesome. Now, what do you think the real power is behind why you've transitioned to the small group training rather than the other sides of the pendulum that you've got being private one-on-ones and then the big kind of group boot camps that you mentioned before?
Yeah, for me, after 10 years of one-on-one training, I'd kind of had enough of it a little bit. And that's not to say that, there's not a market for it. There's definitely a great market for it. But I just got a bit sick of the daily grind from, 6 a.m. till 12 and then back from 4 till 8. And just yeah. So now, now for me, and I still enjoy it. It's 5:45 and a 6:30 in the morning with the girls, and then 2 sessions at the night, but essentially 9 to 5. I'm free to work from home, work from cafe, work wherever I want, and have that flexibility to do whatever I want. So it was more leveraging my time, and I got more of a buzz and more excitement out of small group training.
Excellent. I think as well, also from the client's position, yes, I think one-on-one training is very effective and efficient, and a lot of people do need that, especially for specific personality types and also specific goals. But I think as well, a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but especially with the girls that you probably have on board, they probably thrive a little bit more being in that kind of small group environment than just one-on-one because they kind of help push each other and motivate each other.
Absolutely. And it's such a great, environment where you've got, like I said, small group training. So it's kind of 8 to 10 girls, and, the 6 weeks of sexy girls are some of the fittest girls I've ever worked with. And they all just push each other. And, it's a community thing for these guys as well. To have that many like-minded girls training together is a really kind of powerful environment.
That's absolutely spot on, and especially with what you've put together, and I think what I've really put together as well with Fit Body Pro, that community aspect that we've been able to kind of hone in on, because that's the missing factor I think so many people don't have.
Absolutely. And we're in a world that's more connected but less connected at the same time, with the connection that comes with, even opportunities like me and you talking, where who knows what might have happened if, we didn't have Facebook or whatever else. But it really does give the girls a chance to connect and, thrive in that competitive space. And as long as it's healthy competition, I'm all for it.
All right, excellent. Now let's clear out a bit of the cobwebs that a lot of people are probably held back with. What do you think most people are doing wrong when trying to get in shape?
It might be a bit rough, but after 13 years, you get a lot of clarity. I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are just selling themselves a story that isn't really right.
Yeah.
It's kind of trying to take on too much information, which, there's a lot of it out there, but they're also not just 100% honest with themselves, which can be really hard if,
it's a hard pill to swallow if that's you.
Mate, absolutely. And, everyone thinks, it must be my genetic makeup or that person, someone like yourself who's, absolute, he must have really good genes or, And people just
that's a really, honestly, like, that's a really good thing, because I think the first thing, and this is, look, if the listener right now is like, oh yeah, like, but yeah, they've got good genetics, or the excuse at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Number one,
mate,
I have the worst genetics known to man possibly. Like, I was the fattest teenager going around, you know what I mean? And that's what spurred me. So I'd love for someone to actually spend 24 hours with me and actually see the exercise regime and eating that I do. And it's a great thing as well, because they probably look at you and you're like, oh, this guy's an absolute animal. Look at the amount of, like, running this guy's going through. Like, you are an animal, Blake. I don't know how you run for that far. And it's just excuses at the end of the day. And I think that's a really great point, mate. And I really agree with it. Do not sell yourself a story that is wrong.
And, like, that's one of the good things that, yourself and I have got, is we've got a platform where we can, kind of cut through the shit a little bit. And one of the reasons, I wanted to do that 50K run was because, it was 3 or 4 years ago, which I had such chronic tendonitis in my knee where I could barely walk. And, everyone used to give me a fair bit of cheek because I used to have so many injuries. But to see me essentially go from 5Ks, in Byron Bay in January after a pretty extravagant Christmas and New Year's, where I really enjoyed myself, to, running 50Ks. It's a reminder that people need that, like, it just takes work. And and also the thing about it is, shit doesn't happen overnight. Like, I'm sure, you're sitting at what, probably 6 or 8%, maybe even lower, 5% when you're at your peak. Like, you don't just go from 15 to 5% in the space of a couple of weeks. Like, there's a lot of, hard work that's involved, and people are looking for some kind of magic pill that just doesn't exist.
No, that's a really good point. I think so many people are kind of looking for that kind of quick fix, instant gratification results. And, well, that's just not what it is, especially if you want to get in really good shape, especially if you really want to take care of your health, and your starting block is a bit further down the road. You kind of have to realize, well, there is a bit of a process, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to accept it and move with it.
Yeah. And, mate, at the end of the day as well, like, test and measure what's going on. I'm still amazed as me how many personal trainers don't do any kind of test and measuring. They're just, let's go and, do a sweat session, and all well and good. But it means, like, a sweat session doesn't mean that much in the big scheme of things if you're not testing and measuring, and, people aren't seeing what kind of changes are happening and what kind of sacrifices they need to make to get that change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, so many people and so many trainers, it's a bit of a thing all around, is they kind of think if you just smash yourself into the floor every session, that's what's needed, where a lot of the times it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about, can I puke this session? Like, am I pushing that hard? It's like, well, what's actually going to be the fastest route to the body, health, physique, whatever it is, goal that you want?
Yeah, absolutely. And just keep moving forward. Again, like, for you, it's not about this stuff happening overnight, but if whatever you do today, it's better than what you did yesterday, then you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now, obviously you run the 6 week to sexy and 6 week to shred. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Beautiful. Perfect. Excellent. Now, I'm obviously a big fan of using short phases, and I think it's a great thing because, one, I do it in my business as well, so I completely know why you do it, and I tip my cap to it. But I think so many people get the wrong impression so many times, and they kind of start jumping from plan to plan. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of they're always shopping around for the next best thing, where that's not the answer. What do you think is holding people back when trying to get in shape using a kind of short-term plan?
When someone starts the 6 week program, I make it pretty clear that, in my eyes, it's a 6 week block.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
this is one phase of many.
Yeah, this is one phase. And, I guess it's kind of ironic that it's 6 weeks, but everyone I speak to, I'm talking about the longevity. Like, if whatever you decide to go, if you want to go a 5 and 2 diet, you want to go paleo, you want to go, carb cycling, whatever you want to go, if you don't see yourself doing it in 3, 4, 5, 6 months' time, then why are you even starting it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the way I see these 6 week blocks is go, right, here's an opportunity for us to focus on 1 or 2 things. Let's really hone in on that over the next 6 weeks. It might just be consistency with your exercise. It might be consistency with the exercise and breakfast. And then we'll reassess it after the 6 weeks and decide what you want to do going forward.
Yep.
We actually retain a lot of people, up around 80%, and some of the guys and girls have been doing the 6-week programs for 2 years. But every 6-week block is a new challenge and a new goal that's a building block on top of, the previous 6 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, I see it and you see it as blocks, and it needs to be seen that way. And if you don't see yourself doing this style, this approach, this kind of outlook to health, and training in 3, 4, 5, 6 months' time, e.g. starting like a cabbage diet, like you're not going to be doing that in 6 months' time. Don't start it now.
Absolutely. And to tell you the truth, that was the exact answer I kind of wanted to pull out of you because I knew you were going to answer it right. So boom, ding, 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 you're a winner. And that's what you need to look at. And I think that's the important thing is these are phases, these are steps, this is a progress for what you need to do. And you kind of obviously need to have that continually challenged, the different stimulus, and you kind of need to keep yourself motivated through it just so you don't get bored.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on a training level, like we have a week between sexy and shredded programs where these guys kind of do like deloading, and depending who you speak to, people know one of your good friends, Rach Guy, I think she does deloading every 4th week, maybe something like that. But it's a perfect opportunity for them, which is this week for the guys and girls to have a deloading week, really recover, and then step it up again for another 6-week block as well.
Excellent. Okay, beautiful. Now let's go a little bit deeper into your focus when you're coaching the guys and gals through the programs.
Yeah, well, I mean, small group training gives me the opportunity to stay, I guess, quite savvy and strict to these guys' specific goals. So we will talk at the start of every 6-week block. We'll have a coaching call, which, for me is pretty much 2 full days from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m, 20-minute coaching calls with each of them going, right, what are our specific goals for the next 6 weeks? And then at the halfway point, 3 weeks, we readdress, we have a look. We've got our guy who comes in and does his body fat testing and scans them at the 3-week mark, and then again at the end of 3. So these guys are essentially being kept accountable every 21 days to their 6-week goals. And I think the thing with it is, like, there's no point me bullshitting them. If they come into me for results, I'll give them an honest answer as to what they need to get results. Like, in my eyes, I don't think, I'm too harsh on people, but don't come to me if you don't want a truthful answer. Like, you can go and speak to your girlfriend or your mates and they'll kind of be all fluffy and whatever else. Like, my goal is to get you results, and I'll do whatever I need to do to get that.
Yeah, they're coming to you for an outcome, not for a friend.
Yeah.
Even though you're a great friend, Blake, but I'm just saying they're paying for you for the outcome.
It's questionable at times, but yeah, if they're going to pay me good money, then I'm going to do what I need to do to get them good results.
All right, so let's go even deeper again. Why do you think it's so successful?
I think it's 6 weeks in their head, which is, again, it's, there's a marketing element to it.
Absolutely. Let's just be completely upfront. You sell them what they want, but you give them what they need. Absolutely.
So they're coming in going, right, 6 weeks, it seems a lot more sustainable and manageable these days than 12 weeks. Like, I don't know where I'm going to be in 12 weeks, let alone, someone else trying to do it. And in terms of what makes it a good environment for them, I'm pretty ruthless on making sure it's the best environment. Like, we kicked out, I think, 17 people of the program last year. Like, I want to set a high standard, and anyone that comes into it will match that standard. And that's
what gets you kicked out?
A lack of consistency around your training. Like, it's pretty full on. It's 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And also, like, a lack of bringing your A game. Like, if you're going to bring a bad attitude, and I've got 50, 60, 70 other people to manage, it just, it's toxic for the environment. So I want someone who, may have never even exercised to come in, and if the benchmark's set pretty high, which we set it high, then all of a sudden, it's a quick and fast opportunity for these guys to play catch up. Like, it's like you go in and training with someone. If you constantly surrounded yourself with people who were training for the first 12 months and just kind of fluctuating all over the place, it wouldn't be great for your training. Like, you want people who are at your standard or above to help take you to the next level, which is the exact environment that I want to create for these guys.
Excellent. Okay. What about let's go into the training first. How do you base the training around for getting these guys and girls in beautiful shape It's 5 days a week. Let's break it down even further.
Yep. So with these guys and the girls, I've changed the guys slightly recently because for whatever reason, I don't mind my cardio, but the boys hate the cardio. So the girls are 3 full body weight sessions a week and 2 cardio sessions. So the cardio can be a mix of running and hill sprints. They're only 45-minute sessions, so they're high intensity. So the girls will often do their weights Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full body, and Tuesday, Thursday, they'll do their cardio. The guys are a 2 upper, 2 lower, and a full body. So Monday they'll do upper, Tuesday lower, Wednesday upper, Thursday lower, and then Saturday a full body.
Awesome. Excellent. And let's go cardio sessions first. You said sprints, hill sprints. What's involved?
Yep. So to keep kind of challenging those girls, it's a mix of interval running. So for example, on a Tuesday and Thursday, week 1, it might be interval running. Obviously, because we're at Bondi, week 2 might be sand sprints. Week 3 might be, hill sprints. Then there might be Bondi to Bronte, so like a 5-6K time trial. And then there might be stairs. So they're constantly working through a whole different style and approach to cardio.
Okay, fantastic. That nails it. And I think that gives the listener a really good basis of 1, what you're doing, but 2, how they can start to adapt that kind of methodology into their own lives and training. Now, let's go over to the nutrition side. What do you think is giving the biggest bang for your buck when you're coaching, guiding, advising them through what, how, when, everything to eat?
Yeah. I mean, the hard thing about it, and, I work with Kira Sutherland, who's used to be the head of naturopathy and nutrition at Nature Care. So she has some serious kind of runs on the board.
Yeah.
With 20 years of experience and 13 with me. We're big on kind of convenience and and paleo, but making it realistic as well.
Yeah.
One of the big things, and such a simple thing, but obviously quite challenging at the same time because it's so addictive, is cutting people's sugar back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that alone does amazing
wonders. Wonders. And, the thing with it as well, sometimes, depending where you're at as well, is I forget, having been in the industry for 13 years, how a large percentage of the people still don't know the fundamentals of like nutrition and fat loss.
I think that's a really good point. And actually, that's a really good point. It's probably something so for the listener knows, Blake's also going to be on the Turning Pro Academy podcast, and this is probably something we can talk about there as well. But from the perspective of, say with myself, my clientele, they know what they're doing. Like, they're the fitness enthusiasts. They're the fitness bunnies. They're getting on stage. It's the higher end. And so for me to have that complete disconnect to someone that's the beginner, I also deal with them as my customers, but they're not my one-on-one clients that I'm dealing with. And so it's a really good point that you're bringing up. It's kind of like, well, what are people's true beliefs? Like, do they understand that protein is good for you? Do they understand that sugar is bad for you? And on and on and on. So that's a really good point.
Yeah. And the thing about it as well is, like I said, it's constantly testing, measuring, because the type of sacrifices, let's say someone that what do you go on stage at? 5%? I don't know much about bodybuilding.
Probably about 3 to 4.
Solid. So the sacrifices someone for you, let's say you're getting from, 15% to 11. That's a whole different bunch of sacrifices that you need to make from 11 to 6 and then from 6 to 3. So even with these guys, one of the girls, the girls that we work with, we try to get them down to around 18%, which is a pretty good range.
Yeah.
There's a whole different bunch of sacrifices or even minimal sacrifices that someone at 30% has to make. It's obviously a lot around headspace at that stage.
Yes.
But to get them from 30 to 25 isn't that hard.
No. It's a different ball game, but it's a good point.
Yeah.
It isn't that hard. And that's what I've said to so many other people before, is to get you from fat to okay shape is easy, but to get you from okay shape to in front of the camera looking really good, like that ultra, that is a different ball game.
Yeah, and if you can educate them on what needs to happen when they plateau out, you know, they might plateau at 25%, and then there's another set of changes that needs to happen to get them down to 20%. And same for you, I assume. There's only so many changes that you make to get, you know, from 15 to 11, and then you've got to go a whole another bunch of sacrifices and changes to get you into, you know, the condition you get yourself into to go on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point. I was just thinking, what are a couple of questions when someone first comes on board? What do you think you really have to answer for them straight away?
The importance of nutrition.
Right. Awesome.
Because people, again, you know, for me and you, it's not rocket science, but legitimately people think that they can outrun a bad diet.
Yeah.
Every time. Like, you give them the equation, and everyone's equation is different. Like, you know, nutrition, exercise, and for me, there's lifestyle factors, which I don't think enough people talk about, with sleep, stress, you know, hormones, things like that. But you will never outrun a bad diet. You can, you know, these guys are going, right, awesome, I'm training 5 days a week now. Yes, and it's absolutely going to help you, but you know, doesn't mean that you can super compensate on your food because you are training 5 days a week.
Absolutely. And another thing that I just thought of as well, and I'm sure, like, I get this all the time, and I'm sure you get this even more, is when you ask, like, oh, how's your eating? Oh, yeah, I eat good.
It's, right. Mate, I reckon 90% of people would start the conversation with that. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go.
That cracks me up. I'm like, oh, okay, we have a very wide range to work with. I eat good. That's a good point. What do you think when someone says that? What's your next step?
There's 3 thoughts that come to mind. One, they're not educated.
Kicking them in the shin?
Yeah, kicking the shin. You do not eat good. Mate, because at the end of the day, it's a hard fact to, you know, and a hard pill to swallow. But if you're fat, you don't eat good. Like, I don't care what you think you're doing. You don't actually eat well if you're overweight. You know, we can talk about genetics all you like, but it's like, it's a simple equation. So there's a couple of things. If they think they eat good, they're either really poorly educated, which is easy to do with some of the marketing that's out there these days, and some of the big companies that, you know, the Special K and all that shit that tell you that eating that's good. But then there's an element of they're just completely full of shit, which is often the case as well. And the third part is a lack of awareness around what they eat. And that's a big thing for me when I get them to write a food diary. Yes, it kind of answers some questions, but it also creates a level of consciousness from where they have it. They've got the results in front of them, and they're like, well, when you look over the space of a week, it's not actually as impressive as I thought it was, because there's little snacks here, there's snacks there, and the little snacks add up over the course of a week. But these guys are taking them because they're little snacks, that it's not a big deal. But, you know, you get that data that, you know, and collect it over the space of a week, and it adds up to a lot.
Absolutely. I think that's a real good thing with the dietary recall, the food diary, is just the consciousness that comes into mind with it.
And mate, that, like, you know, it sounds a little bit hippie, but all I want these guys and girls to do is start becoming more conscious of where they're at and what it takes for them to get where they need to be. Because if you can get them to be accountable, you know, call bullshit on themselves when they need to, and be conscious, then the time that you spend with them once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, you know, and luckily for me up to 5 times a week, it really, you know, is kind of cherry on the top, because they're all of a sudden taking responsibility for their own actions, and they're conscious of their own actions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, no, that's fantastic. Now let's go into, what do you think would be, say, the 3 best, biggest bang for your buck steps the listener can do now to improve how they look?
I think the first is sugar. And I know I've said it before, but, you know, like, if you look at the way a supermarket, are you in Australia at the moment? Or are you
I'm in Bali, mate.
I don't know if their supermarkets are even set up the same way.
But not really. The shopping, I don't even do the shopping. The shopping's done at the at a local market.
Yeah, market's a great option, farmers market. But if you look at the way, like, a supermarket is set up in Australia, is all your fresh produce is around the outside. You know, if you're spending too much time down the aisle, you're heading in the wrong space. So, you know, even to cut your sugar, you know, let's say over the next 3 weeks, cut it by 10%, you will visibly see and feel a difference through, especially your midsection, by cutting that sugar by 10%. Then keep building on it. You know, another 10% the week after that. So that's kind of my first thing. The second thing is to actually have a plan. You know, like, so many people will go to the gym and kind of just dawdle and, you know, I'll push a few of these around.
Kind of just winging it.
That. Yeah. And you know what? Like, invest in like, if you can't afford a trainer, invest in a trainer for 1 or 2 sessions to structure your exercise regime. There's a lot of really good trainers these days that are doing online coaching. And if it means that you need to spend, I don't know, $250 to get a 6-week program that gives you structure, do it so you know what you're doing each time you go to the gym.
But it's also I also feel you just need to invest in yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like so many people, especially with their food and training, they think they can kind of wing it because they've read a few magazine articles, they've read a couple of blogs, like this kind of stuff. But if you want to get to results, like if you want your teeth done, you go to a dentist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you want your finances, you go to a financial advisor. And so you need to go and get that right advice. And I think that makes a really big difference.
Yeah. And even what you say, like there's so much information out there. Stick with one person for 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks and see what's possible, because, someone might go to you for 2 weeks and all of a sudden they don't have your 3% body fat after 2 weeks. And then they're coming and expecting that they might get, 6% with me. Like stick with it and don't, understand that everything takes a little bit of time.
Absolutely. I think
if you get a magazine, and I've got to be careful, because I'm very fortunate to write for magazines, but if you get a magazine, there's 94 different opinions in that magazine that make me kind of anxious even trying to follow suit with one of them, because they're all kind of contradicting each other. So find someone that you like, that you work with, that you're happy with their results and that they've got runs on the board, someone like yourself, and follow suit with that.
It's a really funny point, and I remember I wrote for a magazine and I put an article in, and in that exact same issue, there was another article conflicting with what I was saying.
Yeah, it's fucking stressful for the consumer.
And I was just more pissed off for the reader, because you're going to be flicking through reading it and you go, oh, okay, yeah, Chris said this in, cool, I'm going to do this. And then, do you know what I mean? 15 pages down the track, you're like, oh, okay, well, mate, what do I do? And then you're left in nowhere land again.
Yeah, and it's it's even easy for us. Like, you're into the internet marketing stuff, so am I. There's so many people out there, but just stick with one, give it time, and you will see results if you're doing what they kind of prescribe, and if they've got the runs on the board, which I think is important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The person you go to has to have the results and experience for what's going on, and I think it's a good point. All right. Number 3, what is it?
Number 3, so we've got focus, we've got sugar, and the third thing is intensity. Like you go to a commercial gym and the easiest bits of equipment are always full. I personally despise the cross trainer, but that's just my opinion. But you'll see the cross trainer, you'll see the walker, those things are full at every commercial gym. But if you're looking at someone over in the weight section doing a high intensity weight session or throwing around some serious tin, it's not as common. And you've got to appreciate that if you want to get to the next level, there's going to be elements where it's uncomfortable. Like your training's going to be uncomfortable, your nutrition changes are going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be, uncomfortable changes in your headspace that are going to happen. But all that uncomfortableness comes, a lot nicer and a lot shinier out the other side of it. So if you're not getting uncomfortable in your training, then you're probably not going to move forward.
Do you also think that kind of wraps into that very first point that we touched on, being that they're selling themselves a bit of a lie? Do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
They're plotting on the cross trainer because they're like, oh, yeah, no, I'll do this. This will be good enough. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, actually get the right program, follow it, and follow as best as you can. Like, I think pain is a good thing. Like, not actually like pain as in, oh, okay, I just broke my arm. As in pain to push yourself in training or a bit of discipline. Like, this is a good thing to take small steps every single day, improve yourself 1% better. And I think that's something that's so important.
Yeah. And it's, like the thing with it is you become comfortable with the uncomfortable as long as you keep putting yourself in that space. So like it will become uncomfortable. And even, I just posted something on social media this morning. It was like 4.6 degrees this morning, which is pretty cold for Sydney. And it's such an easy option for me to go, you know what, pretty cold, going to stay indoors. But with the True Grit run that I've got this weekend, I just had to get out and get miles into the legs. And, for 500 metres, it's uncomfortable. Like it's freezing. I can't feel my face. My toes are numb. But it's just one of those things that you got to add consistency with, a level of uncomfortableness with your training. And all of a sudden the changes happen and you've stepped it up, which is important if you want to make change.
I think it's a good point, being able to get that uncomfortable. And I've always found going and training with other people. Like I remember I did a, I I did a training course with Milos Sarkev, and he absolutely battered us for 5 days. Like, I was disgustingly sore and beaten and broken, but my training myself took a step up. Do you know what I mean? And then I went and trained with, and it's kind of always training with different people and being able to take that next step up. And I found it's a habit that you create there where you're pushing yourself to a limit, and you're telling yourself how far you can go.
Yeah. And mate, I mean, the state of mind's another conversation that we could have for a few hours for sure. But people really underestimate the power and the importance of just, challenging the mind, stepping it up. And it's a mental game. I think a lot of people out there think that us as personal trainers, are superhuman, but we have the same internal dialogue that everyone else does, where, there's an element of us that wants to sit in that comfortable space, and there's, the badass in us that kind of really wants to push ourselves and take it to the next level. And it's internal, dialogue that we have to kind of contend with each day as well. But the more you just keep pushing at that internal dialogue, the more your almost automatic reaction is to step it up every time, that there's doubt or there's a level of comfortableness that you want to kind of sit back into.
Excellent. Okay, mate, you just absolutely hit this out of the ballpark. Blake, good job. So, tip of the cap. Now, before I let you go, I want you to tell the listener how they can find out more about you. Where do they go? Where do we send them?
The number one spot's probably the blog. So that's wellbeingbyblake.com. And then there's obviously links there if you are looking for some kind of online training to, the 6 Weeks to Sexy program and the 6 Weeks to Shredded. But Wellbeing by Blake, and I'm putting out probably 2 to 3 blogs a week at the moment. So hopefully we can help.
Good stuff. All right, I'm going to link to that in the show notes and links for the listener to get to. Blake, virtual fist bump, brother. Great job.
Beautiful. Thanks for having me, champ.
You've just been dished up another phenomenal Fit Body Pro episode by Chris Dufay. Now what you need to do is go to fitbodypro.com to get the free diet plans, training programs, and insights you cannot get anywhere else. The entire Fit Body Pro team is giving you exactly what you need to build the body you want, faster, easier, and without the fuss.